All right, Shalom to the elect of Israel. I want to start by giving all the praises, honor, and glory to whom it rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Akakwadash. That will honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that were well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect of Israel. And this lesson I wanted to get, all right, or wanted to do is because, basically based on eventually the prophecies have to happen, and that we were never meant to be in captivity forever. Okay? Eventually these prophecies, these, end time prophecies, right, which are going to lead into the kingdom of heaven coming on the earth, eventually they're going to have to happen. Okay? And it involves us getting out of captivity, going back to our homeland and living in righteousness forevermore. Eventually things have to happen, and it goes to show that we were never ever meant to stay in captivity forever, man. Okay? So, but we went to captivity because of our wickedness. Okay? The things that happened to us is because of our wickedness, man. All the hell that's happened to our people is, and hell is coming. It happened, for our wickedness. Okay? But we were never meant to be in captivity forever. Okay? And eventually these prophecies are going to happen. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision, the prophecies are yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So these prophecies that are coming, man, they have a certain time period that they're going to happen at. The Lord has set up. It's a certain time, as the scriptures say. I'll get it. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 and verse 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. You see, so it's a time, all right? It's a season and a time for everything, To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So it's a time and a season, all right, for everything. It's a time, people say in the world, it's a time and a place for everything, right? And these last couple of prophecies have to happen before we get up out of here, man. All right, the MOTB, all of that stuff. World War III. You see, we were never meant to go into captivity forever, man. Okay? This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 6. It says, Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved the Most High to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemies. Okay? So we were put into captivity, all right, because we angered Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, for our sins, our wickedness. He told us that in the curses, Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and verse, where is it? 15, I'll just get 15. It says, and jump down, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Right? These curses is written in this book. It's written in these scriptures, right? Deuteronomy 28, verses 16 through 68. These happen to our people. You see? These happen to our people, man. Right? And, hey, part of them, involve what? Being in captivity. Is Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. Right? And these curses would be on us, man. They would be on us. Okay? And it involved us going into captivity, our enemies, as it says in verse 48, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And that happened literally in slavery. See? That happened in slavery, man. Right? You know, the devil put a yoke of iron upon our necks, right? Slavery, you know. Let me get another one. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. It didn't happen. You know, we went into slavery. Okay. You know, our sons and daughters were separated from us. All right. Deuteronomy 28, verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. And you see that in different movies that they play. Okay. Let me see. Let me jump down to verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Right? So Egypt being what? America, the modern day Egypt, right? It says, and in America ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, meaning redeem you, meaning like save you out of this condition you're in. All right. And the thing is, you know, the majority of our people, right, we're not even on the Eastern Hemisphere like we were in the ancient world. Now we're on the Western Hemisphere, you see, and, you know, we're under captivity under the so-called white man, you see. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, the Israelites. You know, when he came and took down so-called Native Americans, Latinos, and so-called blacks and everything, it says, and to overcome them. So he was supposed to do that, right? And from that point, you know, he was just under this man's rulership, you know. And that's how we're here today, okay? So under this man's rulership, under his power, you know. This is how we're still here, you know. This is why we're, you know, still under him to this very day. And because no man is able to get us out of it but Yahweh Shai. All right. And thus his title, the Savior. Okay. But you see, so we're gonna be in here, but the Lord is the one that's gonna get us out of it. Right? But before we get up out of it, it's prophecies that have to play. It's prophecies that have to happen before we get out of here. Like the MOTB, etc. Because we're not just gonna go from like for right now where you listen to this video, the next day gonna wake up in the kingdom of heaven. No, right? Because don't get me wrong, we look and seek for the kingdom of heaven to come, but you know, it's not just going to be like that. Okay, it's not just going to happen next day. It's prophecies that have to happen. So we need these prophecies to happen, man. All right, but we were never meant to be in captivity forever. It's Baruch chapter 2, verses 30 through on down. It says, for I knew that they would not hear me because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. See, so in the land of our captivities, right, we would wake up. We would remember who we are. The Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. Everyone talks about it's just some cult or movement or something like that. They feel like it's just some, false movement or something like that. But they're wrong. They don't understand this. Verse 31, and shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name. See? And return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers which sinned before me. Verse 34, and I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it. And I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. Okay? So Yahushua, Slack, I was just thinking about Yahushua, but the Lord is saying that basically it's going to come a point where he's going to take us home, and it's going to happen by way of Yahushua. You see? You know? We see, so from, and you know the Lord has everything already set up, you know, to how it's going to play out. So from the time that we went into slavery, all right, and the time we were taken down and everything like that, we were never, ever, ever meant to stay in this position forever. You know, we were never meant to stay in this position. Okay? It's always talked about how we're going to go home. Amos chapter 9, starting at verse 13, it says, behold, the days come. I'm going to start at verse 14, Salakia. And I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, meaning the Lord is going to deliver us out of captivity. It says, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. So when we go back to our land, we're going to have a good time, okay? Drinking wine, eating the fruit of the land. Verse 15, and I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith Yahweh thy power. You see, so we're going to go home, all right? We were never meant to be here forever. This is the book of Joel, chapter 3, 1 through 2. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So in the time that the Lord is going to deliver us out of captivity, the Lord is going to cause nations to come down. He's going to cause, the world nations to come down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is the Middle East. He's going to cause them to come down there for this third world war. All right, and we're getting close to that time. So that's how we know that we're in the days that the Lord is going to deliver us out of captivity. He's going to send his son Yahushua back to beam up the elect of Israel from all over the world. You see? So, we were never meant to stay. This is the book of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, and verse 12 through 14, it says, therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. Meaning the Lord will wake us up in the next step. He will wake us up from that spiritually dead state. That's what it means by he will open our graves and cause us to come up out of our graves, right? But then it says, and bring you into the land of Israel. You see? And this chapter is also echoed in Revelation, the 11th chapter. Quick precept, this shows you how we're going to go back to our land. Revelation 11, verses 11 through 12. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, entered into them. We started getting the truth, waking up, calling ourselves the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites. And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Verse 12, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So this talking about when Yahushua comes back, right? He's going to come with those chariots, right? And he's going to beam up the elect into what the world didn't really calls UFOs. He's going to beam up the elect of Israel. This is how we're going to go back into our land. You see? This is how it's going to start. So back in Ezekiel 37, right, verse 13 now says, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. See, because now it's like we don't have a land, It says, then shall ye know that I Yahweh have spoken it and performed it, saith Yahweh. See? So we're going home. We were never meant to, because the thing is, the Lord knows that this is the Lord's movie. He told us that we would fall away. He told us that we would discontinue from our heritage. And he knew That, as it said, the land of our captivities, they shall remember themselves. See? And that's what happened. We fell away, but now, the Lord woke us up. And so we're about to go home very soon. You know, verse 20, Ezekiel 37:25. It says, "And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they and their children, and their children's children forever." And that goes to show you that the wicked Israelites are going to come back in the kingdom because of reincarnation. You see? It says, "And my servant David shall be their prince forever." Okay? Because we're going to have King David ruling over us as well. Ezekiel 36. There's so many precepts about us going home. So many precepts, man. Ezekiel the 36th chapter. And starting at verse 8. Verse 8. It says, "But ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come." See, it's time for us to go home. Verse 9. "For behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and ye shall be tilled and sown." And the land of Israel is going to get worked upon, and it's going to be by the slaves of the Israelites. Verse 10. "And I will multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel," man, even all of it. "And the city shall be inhabited, and the waste shall be builded." So, look, once again, when we get back to our homeland, we're going to have some fun. We are going to have some fun when we get back to our homeland. I don't know, I might title this lesson that, because, it's going into it. But we're going to have some real fun when we get back there, man. As he said, we're going to be eating the land. It's like eating the fruit stuff of the land, right? We're going to be drinking the wine, all right? And this goes to show that what we're going to be having, sex and everything in the kingdom. Okay? We're going to have to be reproducing, and we're going to have more than one wife, and all of them are going to be loyal to the same man. Verse 11. "And I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I will settle you after your old estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh. Yea, I will cause men to walk upon you, even my people Israel. And they shall possess thee, and thou shalt be their inheritance. And thou shalt no more henceforth bereave them of men." All right? So we going home, man. Okay? We going home. We were never meant to be in this captivity forever. All right? That wasn't a part of Daniel's vision in Daniel the 7th chapter. Okay? That wasn't a part of it. Right? Let me get back to, let me get this one. I wanted to get this as well. Jeremiah chapter 30. I'm going to just read this verse 3 and jump. I'll keep reading down. It says, "For lo, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people, Israel and Judah." That's all the Israelites. All right? The southern and northern kingdom base is what I mean. All right? The southern and northern kingdom, says, saith Yahweh, "And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it." You keep hearing this theme being told. Okay? Verse 4. "And these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah," meaning the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Verse 5. "For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turning to paleness." Right? Because it's going to be a hard time that we're coming into, and it describes what that time is called. Verse 7. "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble." See, so before we get back to the kingdom, we have to go through a time period called Jacob's trouble, right? Which is the Lord sending judgment upon Jacob, upon the Israelites, upon you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians. Okay? So, and this is, martial law, FEMA, camps, chaos, lawlessness, all of that, right? It says, "But he shall be saved out of it." How? because Yahweh Shai is going to return in the midst of that. And as we read in Revelation 11, this is why it's good to understand prophecy. See, as we read in Revelation 11, he's going to beam up the elect of Israel into what the world ignorantly calls UFOs. All right, and they're going to go home. Okay, they're going to be watching the destruction, etc. They're going to come back down. You know, purge out the rebels, clean the earth up, etc. But ultimately we're going to go home. You see, but it's a sequence of prophecies that have to play out because before we can go back home, Jacob's trouble has to happen. See, before we can be saved out of it, it has to happen. You see? So the prophecies are going to happen, all right? Eventually they're going to happen, all right? Verse 8, but look though, for it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. All right, so we're not going to have any heathens, all right? We're not going to have any heathens, we're not going to be subject to them. Verse 9, but they shall serve Yahweh their power, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. See? So we're going to be serving Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. King David is going to be ruling over us, under Yahweh Shai, of course. All right? Verse 10, therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. All right? So, hey, the Lord is going to deliver us. We're going to go back home, right? And nobody's going to mess with us. Okay, we're gonna have peace. All right, they're not going to be able to, we're going to be changed. We're going to be immortals, have spiritual power, all of that. We're not going to die anymore, none of that stuff. See, so that time is coming, man, okay? But these prophecies have to happen first. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 4th chapter, in verse 37. And it says, by measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them, until the said measure be fulfilled. Okay, so the Lord is not going to skip over the prophecy. So it has to happen. Things have to play out before other things can happen. For example, the salvation ain't coming until the MOTB is made mandatory. All right, before World War III kicks off. Okay, in the midst of World War III, Yahweh Shai is going to return. Okay, but it's it's everything in due time, but we were never meant to stay in captivity forever. People be talking about how, Jake went down and all of that stuff. You see, Jake being in the Jake going down, getting taken down, and they feel, Esau be scoffing, saying, we lost to him, especially against Gad, saying, they lost that home. All right. But they don't understand that this is not our end. This is not how it's going to be forever. And they don't know why we went into captivity, but they're going to find out. Ezekiel 39, starting at verse 23. I'll start at verse 22. So the house of Israel shall know that I am Yahweh their power from that day and forward. Yeah, when the Lord does what he, does here in Ezekiel 39, right? It says, verse 23, and the heathen shall know. So the so-called Chinese, Japanese, white man, Indian, the Japhites, the Hamites, so-called Arabs, all right, etc. All the heathens, right, it says, shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity. So they're going to know that we were taken down because of our sins against Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, as it says, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. According to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. It says, after that they have borne their shame and all their trespasses whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid. When I have brought them again from the people, and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, what's it going to do by way of Yahushai, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations. See? It says, then shall they know that I am Yahweh their power, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. See, the Lord is the one that allowed us to get taken, not off of these devils' might. They can't do anything to us if we don't sin against our power. So he says, but I have gathered them unto their own land, and have left none of them any more there. Right? So, hey, we're going home, man. And you see, as we read about us going home, all right, and the fact that we were never meant to be in captivity forever, you see that prophecy is involved. And eventually, all these prophecies are going to happen. Isaiah chapter 55, verse 11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. So the prophecies are going to happen. Right? Eventually, you guys have said in Habakkuk 2 and 3, right? It says the latter part, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come and will not tarry. You see, so we were never meant to stay here. And the prophecies, eventually they're going to happen, right? And it's going to lead to our deliverance, starting with the elect of Israel, you know? So that's coming. You know, that's coming, man. So, hey, you know, so I just wanted to do a lesson on that, you know, because people think that, you know, the prophecies ain't going to happen. That's fine. Let them think that. You know, let them think that they're still going to live through it. You know? So I wanted to do a lesson on that. Hopefully, you know, that uplifted your spirit. All right? You know, like-minded brothers and sisters out there, hopefully it uplifted your spirit. All right? With that, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone Everwell. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect of Israel. Shalom to the elect.